Hello everyone. My name is Paul Angelo P. Basan, and we are Group 1, and we are here today to tackle about the Philippine 1987 Constitution. So, we will have a little background about the 1987 Philippines Constitution. So, Philippine has already number or several constitutions, but the one that is enforced today is the 1987 Constitution. The 1987 Scottish Constitution here in the Philippines is an important legally binding document. It is essential for Filipino people it outlines their rights while at the same time limiting the power of the government. The Constitution helps ensure a stable rule of law within the Filipino society. When you read the 1987 Constitution, you can see that there are several parts were borrowed or taken from the U.S. Constitution. So the first part of the 1987 Philippines Constitution would be the preamble. So the preamble is the first part of the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. Every Filipino must know the preamble and understand its meaning by heart. Most students in college who study law and political science memorize the preamble as it is the introductory part of the learning of the Philippines Constitution. So, preamble. We, the sovereign Filipino people, imploring the aid of Almighty God in order to build a just and humane society and establish a government that shall embody our ideals and aspirations, promote the common good, conserve and develop our patrimony, and secure to ourselves and our posterity the blessings of independence and democracy under the rule of law and regimen of truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, and peace, do ordain and promulgate this Constitution. So that was the preamble. Preamble is essential because it will tell you why a particular clause on the Philippines Constitution is there. It will tell you what the Filipino people is striving for, what they aspire to be, and what they believe in.
The first article is national territory. The national territory comprises the Philippines archipelago with all the island and water embraced therein, and all the other territories over which the Philippines has sovereignty or jurisdiction, consisting of its terrestrial, fluvial, and aerial domains, including its territorial sea, the seabed, the subsoil, and the other submarine areas. The archipelago, regardless of their breadth and dimensions, form part of the internal waters of the Philippines.
Article number 2, Declaration of Principles and State Policies, lays out.
The first article is national territory. The national territory comprises the Philippines archipelago with all the island and water embraced therein, and all the other territories over which the Philippines has sovereignty or jurisdiction, consisting of its terrestrial, fluvial, and aerial domains, including its territorial sea, the seabed, the subsoil, and the other submarine areas. The archipelago, regardless of their breadth and dimensions, form part of the internal waters of the Philippines.
Article number 2, Declaration of Principles and State Policies, lays out the basic social and political creed of the Philippines, which particularly the implementation of the Constitution and sets forth objectives of the government. The principles is the section number 1, the Philippines is a democratic and republican state, sovereignty resides in the people and all government authority emanates from them. Section number 2, the Philippines renounces war as an instrument of national policy, adopts the generally accepted principles of international law as part of the law of the land, and adheres to the policy of peace, justice, freedom, cooperation, and amity with all nations. Section number 3, civilian authority is at all times supreme over the military. The armed force of the Philippines are the protector of the people and the state. Its goal is to secure the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of the national territory. The section number 4, the prim duty of the government is to serve and protect the people. The government may call upon the people to defend the state, and in the fulfillment thereof, all citizens may be required, under condition provided by the law, to render personal, military, or civil service. So the section number 5 is the maintenance of peace in order the protection of life, liberty, and property, and promotion of the general welfare are essential for the enjoyment by all the people of the blessings of democracy. State of the policy, section number 7, the state shall pursue an independent foreign policy in its relation with other states. The paramount consideration shall be national sovereignty, territorial integrity, national interest, and the right to self-determination. Section number 8, the Philippines, consistent with the national interest, adopts and pursues a policy of freedom from nuclear weapons in its territory. Section number 9, the state shall promote a just and dynamic social order that will ensure the prosperity and independence of the nation and free the people from poverty through policies that provide adequate social service, full employment, a rising standard of living, and improvement quality of life for all. Section number 10, the state shall promote social justice in all phases of national development. Section 11, the state values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. Section 12, the state recognizes the sanctity of family life and shall protect and strengthen the family as a basic autonomous social institution. It shall equally protect the life of the mother and the life of the unborn from conception. The natural and primary right and duty of parents in the rearing of the youth for civic efficiency and development of moral character shall receive the support of the government. Section 13, the state recognizes the vital role of the youth in nation building and shall promote and protect their physical, moral, spiritual, intellectual, and social well-being. It shall inculcate in the youth patriotism and nationalism and encourage their involvement in public and civic affairs. Section 14, the state recognizes the role of women in nation building and shall ensure the fundamental equality before the law of women and men. Section 15, the state shall protect and promote the right to health of the people and instill health consciousness among them. Section 16, the state shall protect and advance the right of the people to a balanced and healthful ecology in accord with the rhythm and harmony of nature. Section 17, the state shall give priority to education, science and technology, arts, culture, and sport to foster patriotism and nationalism, accelerate social progress, and promote total human liberation and development. Section 18, the state affirms labor as a primary social economic force. It shall protect the rights of workers and promote their welfare. Section 19, the state shall develop a self-reliant and independent national economy effectively controlled by Filipinos. Section 20, the state recognizes the indispensable role of the private sector, encourage private enterprise, and provides incentives to needed investments. Section 21, the state shall promote comprehensive rural development and agrarian reform. Section 22, the state recognizes and promotes the rights of indigenous cultural communities within the framework of national unity and development. Section 23, the state shall encourage non-governmental, community-based, or sectoral organizations that promote the welfare of the nation. Section 24, the state recognizes the vital role of communication and information in nation building. Section 24, the state recognizes the vital role of communication and information in nation building. Section 25, the state shall ensure the autonomy of local governments. Section 26, the state shall guarantee equal access to opportunities for public service and prohibit political dynasties as may be defined by law. Section 27, the state shall maintain honesty and integrity in the public service and take positive and effective measures against graft and corruption. Section 28, subject to reasonable condition prescribed by law, the state adopts and implements a policy of full public disclosure of all its transactions involving public interest.
Today, I am going to discuss the Article 3 Bill of Rights. So, Article 3 of the Philippines Constitution contains the Bill of Rights. It establishes the relationship of the individual to the state and defines the rights of the individual by limiting the lawful powers of the state. It is one of the most important political achievements of the Filipinos. So, as the government is recognized as a force on its own, the Bill of Rights therefore was created to limit this power by outlining and guaranteeing the rights of every citizen in the country that the government cannot trample over. So it is essentially one of the most important lists to citizen of a country. So next is citizenship. So this article details the qualifications of a Filipino citizen and its 5 sections. So section 1, the following are citizens of the Philippines. Those who are citizens of the Philippines at the time of the adoption of this constitution. 2, those whose fathers or mothers are citizens of the Philippines. 3, those born before January 17, 1973, of Filipino mothers who elect Philippine citizenship upon reaching the age of majority. And last, those who are naturalized in accordance with law. So, Section 2. Natural-born citizens are those who are citizens of the Philippines from birth without having to perform any act to acquire or perfect their Philippine citizenship. So those who elect Philippine citizenship in accordance with paragraph. So Section 1 hereof shall be deemed natural-born citizens. Section 3. Philippine citizenship may be lost or reacquired in the manner provided by law. Section 4. Citizens of the Philippines who marry aliens shall retain their citizenship unless by their act or omission they are deemed under the law to have renounced it. And last, Section 5. Dual allegiance of citizens inimical to the national interest and shall be dealt with by law.
Okay, so next is Article 5, Suffrage. This article mandates various age and residence qualifications to vote and a system of secret ballots and absentee voting. It also mandates a procedure for overseas and disabled and illiterate Filipinos to vote. So, Section 1, suffrage may be exercised by all citizens of the Philippines not otherwise disqualified by law who are at least 18 years of age and who shall have resided in the Philippines for at least 1 year and in the place wherein they propose to vote for at least 6 months immediately preceding the election. So no literacy, property, or other substantive requirement shall be imposed on the exercise of suffrage. Section 2. The Congress shall provide a system for securing the secrecy and sanctity of the ballot, as well as a system for absentee voting by qualified Filipinos abroad. The Congress shall also design a procedure for the disabled and the illiterates to vote under existing laws, such rules as the Commission on Elections may promulgate to protect the secrecy of the ballot. Next is Article 6, Legislative Department. This article contains 32 sections and it provides for a bicameral legislature called the Congress, composed of the Senate and the House of Representatives. It vests upon Congress, among others, the power to declare the existence of a state of war, the power of the purse, the power of taxation, and the power of eminent domain.
Article 7. The Executive Department. Article 7 provides for a presidential form of government where the executive power is vested on the President. It provides for the qualification, terms of office, election, and power and functions of the President. It also provides for a Vice President and for the presidential line of succession. Article 8. The Judicial Department. Article 8 vests the judicial power upon the Supreme Court and other lower courts as may be established by law, by Congress. While the power to appoint justices and judges still reside with the President, the President may only appoint nominees pre-selected by the Judicial and Bar Council, a body composed of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the Secretary of Justice, the chairs of the Senate and House Committees on Justice, and representatives from the legal profession.
Article 9, Constitutional Commission. It has 3 Constitutional Commission. First is Civil Service Commissions. The Civil Service Commission is composed of a chairman and 2 commissioners who shall be natural-born citizens of the Philippines, and at time of their appointment, at least 35 years of age, with proven capacity for public administration, and must not have been a candidate for any elective position in the elections immediately preceding their appointment. The Civil Service Commission is responsible for establishing a career, service, and making policies that will boost the civil services morale. Civil services includes all divisions, instrumental agencies, branches of the government. It must submit an annual report on its personnel programs to the President and Congress. Second is the Commission on Elections. The Commission on Elections is composed of a chairman and 6 commissioners who shall be natural-born citizen of the Philippines, and at the time of their appointment, at least 35 years of age, holders of a college degree, and must not have been candidates for any elective positions in the immediately preceding elections. However, a majority, including the chairman, shall be a member of the Philippine Bar who have been engaged in the practice of the law for at least 10 years. The use of all franchises or permissions for the operations of the transportation and other public services, media of communications or information must be supervised or regulated during the elections period. Equal opportunity, time, space, and the right time to speak up must all be protected by such overseas or elections. So the third is the Commission on Audit. The Commission on Audit is composed of a chairman and two commissioners who shall be natural-born citizens of the Philippines and at the time of their appointment at least 35 years of age. Certified public accountants with not less than 10 years of auditing experience are members of the Philippine Bar who have been engaged in the practice of law for at least 10 years. It must not have been candidates for any elective positions in the election. Immediately preceding their appointment, at no time shall all members of the commissions belong to the same professions. The following are the duties, powers, and responsibilities of the Commission on Audit with regard to the examinations and settlement of all accounts relating to the revenue and receipts and expenditures or uses, funds and properties owned. First is constitutional. All bodies, commissions, and offices that have been given fiscal autonomy under these constitutions. Letter B, independent states, college and universities. Letter C, government-owned or controlled corporations and their subsidiaries, and lastly, non-governmental entities that receives equality, direct or indirect, from the government and required by law to submit to such audit as the conditions of equality. Article 10. Local government. The Congress must pass a local government code that specifies the qualification, election, appointment, and removal, terms, salaries, powers, and functions, and duties of local officials. It is also established decentralized systems of local government with effective recall initiative and referendum mechanisms, distributes resources among the various local government units, and establish the powers and functions of local officials. Local government entities are entitled to fair part of the national revenues that are automatically released to them as established by the law. In accordance with the legislation, local governments shall be entitled to an equitable share of income from the use and development of the nation's wealth within their respective jurisdictions, including the right of distribution such as income directly to local residents. No province, cities, municipalities, or barangay may be founded, divided, merged, destroyed, or have its boundaries significantly altered without first meeting the requirements outlined in the local government code and after a plebiscite in which the political units immediately affected are asked to vote.
So now let's talk about the Article 11, which is the accountability of public officers. So in here, it states that the public office is a public trust. Public officers and employees must at all times be accountable to the people, serve them with utmost responsibility and integrity, loyalty and efficiency, and active patriotism and justice, and live modest lives. So the public office is the right, authority, and duty created by the law where an individual is invested into taking a portion of the function of the government. So it is position of service. It is called a public trust because the government has trusted these officers and employees with their positions. So public servants or public officers should be a role model to all. They must act with patriotism, and his love and devotion to the country must be beyond question. So now, let's proceed to the Article 12, which is the national economy and patrimony. So in here, the goals of the national economy are a more equitable distribution of opportunities, income, and wealth. So a sustained increase in the amount of goods and services produced by the nation for the benefit of the people, and an expanding productivity is the key to raising the quality of life for all, and especially the underprivileged. So this means that the state shall promote industrialization and full employment based on sound agricultural development and agrarian reform through industries that make full and efficient use of human and natural resources, which are competitive in both domestic and foreign markets.
And in this pursuit of these goals, all sectors of the economy and all regions of the country shall be given optimum opportunity to develop. So private enterprises, including corporations, cooperatives, and similar collective organization, shall be encouraged to broaden the base of their ownership.
Article 13. Social Justice and Human Rights. The Congress shall give the highest priority to the enhancement of measures that protect and enhance the right of all the people to human dignity, reduce social, economic, and political inequalities, remove cultural inequalities by equitably diffusing wealth and political power for the common good. To this end, the state shall regulate the acquisition, ownership, use, and disposition of property and its increments. Social justice combines the rights and obligations within the structures of our society, allowing individuals to share in the fundamental advantage and cost of collaboration. It supports our efforts to promote diversity in our communities and nation. These ideals are essentials to human rights and are also necessary for social justice. And another goal of social justice is to create a more equal society. And the basic objective of human rights is to ensure that people are treated with respect and dignity by those in position of power. Next is Article 14. Education, Science and Technology, Arts, Culture, and Sports. The state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels and take shall appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all. To promote nationalism, social progress, and the complete freedom and development of all people, the state shall give emphasis to education, science and technology, as well as the arts and culture and sports. They should really enforce patriotism and nationalism, encourage the people of love of humanity, respect for human rights, an understanding of the significance of national history, teach about citizenship rights and responsibilities, strengthen moral spiritual values, cultivate morality and self-control, and also foster critical and creative thinking, increase scientific and technological literacy, and encourage professional effectiveness.
Next is Article 15, the family. Section 1. The state recognizes the Filipino family as the foundation of the nation. Accordingly, it shall strengthen its solidarity and actively promote its total development. Families or family associations have a right to participate in the planning and implementation of policies and programs that affect them. The Family Code covers fields of significant public interest, especially the law on marriage. Next is Article 16. General Provisions. Section 1. The flag of the Philippines shall be red, white, and blue, with a sun and 3 stars, as consecrated and honored by the people and recognized by law. So, the state shall strengthen the patriotic spirit and nationalist consciousness of the military and show respect for people's rights in the performance of their duties.
Now let's proceed to Article 17, Amendments of Revisions. Section 1. Any amendment to or revision of this Constitution may be proposed by, first, the Congress upon a vote of 3/4 of all its members, or A Constitutional Convention. Section 2. Amendments to this Constitution may likewise be directly proposed by the people through initiative upon a petition of at least 12% of the total number of registered voters therein. The Congress shall provide for the implementation of the exercise of this right. Section 3. The Congress may, by a vote of two-thirds of all its members, call a constitutional convention, or by a majority vote of all its members, submit to the electorate the question of calling such a convention. Section 4. Any amendment to or revision of this Constitution under Section 1 hereof shall be valid when ratified by a majority of the votes cast in a plebiscite which shall be held not earlier than 60 days nor later than 90 days after the approval of such amendment or revision. Article 18. The transitory provisions. Section 1. The first elections of members of the Congress under this Constitution shall be held on the second Monday of May, 1987. The first local election shall be held on a date to be determined by the President, which may simultaneous with the election of the members of the Congress. It shall include the election of all members of the city or municipal councils in the metropolitan Manila area. This constitution shall take the effect immediately upon its ratification by a majority of the votes cast in a plebiscite held for the purpose and shall supersede all previous constitutions. Now, we will going to discuss the duties and obligations of citizens. So section 1, it shall be the duty of the citizen to be loyal to the republic and to honor the Philippine flag, to defend the state and contribute to its development and welfare, to uphold the constitution and obey the laws, and to cooperate with the duly constituted authorities in the attainment and preservation of a just and orderly society. Section 2, the rights of the individual impose upon him the correlative duty to exercise them responsibility and with due regard for the rights of others. Section 3, it shall be the duty of every citizen to engage in gainful work to assure himself and his family a life worthy of human dignity. And lastly, section 4, it shall be the obligation of every citizen qualified to vote, to register and cast his vote.
And to summarize, the 1987 Constitution embodies the supreme law of the Philippines. It is essential to know and understand the Constitution because of its contents. Like for example, the preamble. The preamble, it introduces the source of the country's sovereignty, which is its people. It means that the people are the source of the authority. Next is the Bill of Rights. It is a list of the rights of the Filipinos. The list to protect people from abuses from government power. It is important because it serves as the backbone of the country. It sets limits and boundaries to the power and role of the government as to what extent they can impose laws and regulations to the citizens of our country.